When it comes to relationships, there are two different types of men. There is the insecure nice guy, and there is the strong, confident, secure, convicted man that your family can actually depend on. Now, I used to be the nice guy for so long, right? I was very insecure. I struggled with body dysmorphia. I would doubt myself. I would overthink. And I would turn into a people pleaser in relationships because I was worried about being left or being abandoned or not feeling good enough. But over the years, I've been able to work myself from that insecure nice guy into this strong, confident, convicted man, and not just in relationships, in my life as a whole. And so in this video, I want to just describe some of the main differences, three of the main differences between the nice guy and the man that all of us men want to be in our relationships with our family and in our life as a whole. And then the one common solution that is going to actually help you make this shift that I've been able to make and that I now help men just like you through as well. So the first one is when we look at our self-worth. So the nice guy, his self-worth will be very, very dependent on his partner and on the relationship, because at the core of a nice guy is a people pleaser. And the reason that we can be a people pleaser as the nice guy is because we have lived with, or we are living with, this story and belief that we are not enough, we are not worthy, we are not capable as men. And so we struggle to see our own value, we struggle to connect to our own self-worth. And so because we struggle to do that, we will then outsource that to other people, to our external circumstances, to our relationships, and we're essentially not in control of how we feel about ourselves. And I'm not going to go into that into too much detail. The last video that I posted is a full 25 odd minute deep dive into the nice guy identity itself, where I break this down. So if you haven't watched that video, I would recommend you going to watch that. I'll link it down below. But yeah, the nice guy, his worth is dependent on his partner, right? So your mood is dependent on your partner. When she's happy, you're happy. But when she's not, this is what triggers his self-worth. Because now you have a reflection of, oh, she's not happy, she's frustrated, she's mad, she's down, whatever it might be. And even though it might have nothing to do with you, you can't help but get anxious, get worried, go into fix-it mode, and become the people pleaser to try and rectify the situation, because she is your reflection for your worth. And so if she's not giving you what you ideally want, again, you think that you've done something wrong and you take that on yourself, which only confirms that you are not enough, right? And that's painful. The people pleaser, the mask that the nice guy wears is nothing but a protection mechanism, right? So when that is under threat, i.e. your mirror for your self-worth is not how you want it to be, that's what gives you all of these feelings, right? So the nice guy will have his self-worth be very, very determined by his partner. Whereas the strong, convicted, secure man won't have that, right? There'll still be times where that happens. You know, I would say that I'm 99% over my nice guy identity, but there are still moments where I can feel that old version of me coming through. And that's just because I lived with it for so long. So naturally there's going to be the remnants of it. But this strong, convicted man will know his worth intrinsically, and he will have evidence that he is that man, right? That he is who he says he is, right? And this is the work for the nice guy. It's to understand, okay, what is the story that I'm believing about myself, and how can I take back control of my worth and create evidence to prove to myself that I am worthy, that I am capable, that I am good enough, right? So much of this for me has come through my connection with God and understanding who I am at a core soul foundational level, who I am in God, how he sees me, and rooting my worth in him. But then it's also, again, doing the inner work, doing the identity work, disproving this story that I am not good enough, right? And then not just sitting in the inner work and talking about it, but actually going out to build evidence, right? So as I mentioned earlier, I really battled with body dysmorphia for 15 years. So I had to go out and build a body and a level of health and a physique and performance that I was genuinely proud of and confident in. Right? I had to continue to commit to my business and want to build something bigger than me, right? Build my legacy, build this business so one day I can be that provider for my family and I can give them everything that I want to give. Right? As I said, my faith, my relationship with Christ, my purpose, how I show up with my family and my friends, and even to camera, right? These are all things that I've had to work on to build evidence. So now when I think about my worth, or maybe I have that old story triggered, I don't need to look to someone else to validate me. I can just go back and look around my life and I will see that. I can look in the mirror or be at the gym and feel proud of what I see, right? I can think about my business and the clients that I've helped. I can look at my friendships, my close friendships. I can look at my relationship. I can look at all these different things, my faith, and be like, yeah, I'm worthy, right? I'm capable. So it doesn't matter what anyone else does, right? Because I have that internal compass almost that I can lean back on, right? So this is the difference in self-worth. The nice guy will outsource, and the confident, secure man will know his worth. And so that means in a relationship, he won't experience the roller coaster that the nice guy will, right? There'll still be elements of that, don't get me wrong. But now if, your partner is upset or sad or she's had a down day, and when she said, it's nothing to do with you, it's just something that's going on with me, he will not attach and he will not worry about his worth in relation to her. He will just be like, okay, cool, what do you need from me, right? You need space, okay, cool. I'm gonna go give you some space, have a couple of hours, half a day, whatever you need, right? And I will be here when you need me. Whereas the nice guy will try and fix everything and it will actually make things worse, right? This is all tracing back to this not good enough story and to the need for the nice guy to outsource his worth because he doesn't feel strong and convicted in himself, right? The second way that this often shows up in the difference between the two is in leadership. So the nice guy will really struggle to step up into that masculine leadership role, right? Whereas the strong, convicted, secure man will lead as a natural byproduct of who he is. And understanding that leadership isn't a dictatorship. Leadership is, again, making decisions if that's what's needed, staying grounded if that's what's needed. Again, when your partner is in a bad mood or has had a challenging day, like, can you actually stay grounded and be that support system? Because that's what she's looking for. When she's upset and she's all over the place, which is naturally part of the feminine energy, she is looking to you to feel safe. Can you remain grounded and be there for her? Or do you go into that people-pleasing fixer mode? Right? The nice guy will struggle to lead. Again, all these things you'll notice have the same sort of root cause. But the nice guy will struggle to lead because he's worried about making a mistake. He's overthinking. He's worried about making a decision because what if he makes a decision that she doesn't like and now she's unhappy and she's annoyed at him and she starts liking him less and she ends up leaving him, right? It's triggering that same not good enough story. So the nice guy will often defer decisions, right? He will not voice his opinions or his truths because he just wants to keep her happy, right? And she will pick up on this at an energetic level as well, right? The masculine feminine dynamic. She won't feel safe to be completely in her femininity, knowing that he has her back and she can rely on him for whatever she needs. And so she will then naturally step up and assume that role. And that's what creates all kinds of chaos in this masculine feminine dynamic, because that man cannot lead her and he can't lead himself, right? Because that's what this comes down to. The nice guy can't lead himself for reasons I stated in the first one, right? The self-worth issues. He doesn't see himself as worthy. So how can he lead himself? And therefore, how can he lead his family? Right? He's always overthinking. He's overwhelmed. He's second guessing. He's just he wears a mask to be the man that he thinks she wants him to be. And then he acts from that place, right? And that's what creates this disconnect in attraction or intimacy, because he's now showing up as a version of him that's not actually him, and she can tell that he's wearing this mask. Whereas that strong, confident, convicted man, he can lead effortlessly because it's just a byproduct, right? He believes he's good enough. He can validate his own self-worth, and so he can naturally step up into that masculine role, which is the leader, right? He can make decisions whilst also taking her desires and whatever else into consideration as well. Like I said, it's not a dictatorship. That's very, very toxic side of masculinity. But he can make decisions with confidence, right? He can stay grounded when she's having a bad day and she just needs him to be that safe pillar of support, right? He can, again, financially provide. He can physically protect. He can support. He can be the role model. He can be that beautiful masculine presence that the feminine needs, and vice versa. Because what happens is when you're able to be confident, convicted in yourself and be that masculine presence, that means that she can sit and feel safe in her femininity. And that is the most beautiful thing in the world, right? But that only comes out when the man can step up into that leadership and into that masculine role. And that starts not with her. It actually has nothing to do with her. There are things that our partners can do to help us feel like a man. Again, that comes down to communication, which is the next one we're going to touch on. right? But that only comes out when he is a certain way. And so if a man doesn't do this work on himself and he's always looking to his partner to feel worthy, to have reassurance, to have validation, to feel confident, to feel good enough, it's going to completely crush this dynamic, right? And it's not just going to affect the relationship; it's going to affect everything else, right? It's going to affect your body and your training and your health because you don't have the conviction to go and do that for yourself. You're just trying to be the man that she wants you to be. Shows up in your purpose and your business and your commitment and your consistency. This is all ways you lead yourself that only come once you've done that deeper inner identity work to actually step up into this man. All right? Nice guy struggles to lead. Strong, confident man just does that effortlessly because that's just what he does. And the final piece is communication. So these kind of cross over here, but the nice guy will struggle to communicate effectively again because he's always stepping on eggshells, not necessarily because she's done anything, but because he's worried about saying the wrong thing. He doesn't want to voice his opinions or his truths too much just in case it creates conflict. Because conflict to the nice guy is really scary, right? Like I mentioned, there's a protection mechanism in the nice guy in the mask that he wears. And so if there's potential disagreement or conflict or just, again, differings of opinions, that will put him into fight or flight survival mode because now he's overthinking and he's worried that she's not going to like him or that's going to turn her off or she's going to go and find someone else or leave him or whatever it might be. All right, so his communication greatly suffers. He won't speak up if things are bothering him because he'd rather keep her happy and keep the peace in the relationship than actually put himself first and voice something and then trust that, if you're with the right person, they're going to want to have a conversation to be able to come to a conclusion. Right, so again, this is very, very based in this lack of self-worth and having her dictate how he feels about himself. And so any conflict, conversation, or disagreement puts that under threat. Whereas the strong, confident, convicted man, he will communicate, he will set boundaries, he will, want to have a sit-down conversation and come to a solution that is mutually beneficial. He's not afraid to speak up for his needs and his desires because he knows that's really, really important. Right? But this is a thing, when you have this healthy relationship, these conversations is how your connection will grow. This is how you continue to sit in that worthiness. And in fact, she will honor you more because of it. Because there's a way you can have these conversations that is not an attack, right? There doesn't need to be conflict, right? You state your desires, she states hers, you say what you need, she says what she needs. And then you have an adult conversation, which you can only have if your worth is not predicated on her. Because as soon as that happens, the solution is going to be very skewed to her and you're going to suppress things. And over time, it's just going to eat away at you. Again, I've been there. I have done that. Right? The strong, confident man, he voices exactly what he says, exactly what he wants, exactly what he desires. But he also asks her, cool, what do you need from me? How can I be a better man for you? Right? How do you like to be loved? How do you want me to or need me to show up for you in order for you to feel safe in your feminine? Right? Because that's ultimately what we're trying to achieve here. Now, these are just some examples, and I could list a whole bunch of others. I speak about a lot of these on my Instagram. But at the end of the day, you guys want a solution, right? You're probably like, okay, yep, that's me. I do all these things, whatever else. How do I actually fix it? So what we need to understand is most people, when we're stuck in this nice guy identity, and again, this was me, I would look externally to fix how I was feeling internally. So with my body dysmorphia, for example, yes, ultimately, the solution was to get into better physical shape. That's always going to be the end goal. But I needed to do the work on why I continue to feel insecure, why I continue to feel not enough, why no physical progress would actually make me feel confident. I needed to work out what was actually driving that. In relationships, it's not about just getting into another relationship. Like, I've done that. I've relationship hopped and I've had the same things pop up, not necessarily because of the person I was with, but because I still had these incongruencies in who I was, who I wanted to be, and how I was showing up. Right? So that was my work that I needed to do. And at the bottom of it was this nice guy identity, which had the mask involved, which had the insecurities, which had the people pleasing, because I was still trying to be confident and convicted and worthy in who I was, and trust that God would send me the right person to really, really magnify that. Right? I was putting so much stock into the person that I was with, forgetting that if I had to change myself, or if I couldn't show up as my true, authentic self, then that wasn't my person. Right? But I kept trying to control that. So there was work that I needed to do. Because at the bottom of all of this is simply a story, a core programming, like a computer has an operating system that says, for some reason, you are not enough, you are not worthy, you are not capable. And this often comes from something that has happened to us in the past. For me, it was some bullying around my body, and then I created this whole narrative and this whole identity where I believed I wasn't enough, and I had my true self mocked and laughed at and whatever else through the bullying. So I took on this belief that I wasn't enough, and so therefore I built a whole world where that was my truth. The way I spoke, the way I showed up, the clothes that I wore, how I was in relationships, my ability to be consistent and commit to things, my ability to even dream bigger to this life that I wanted. Right? For so long I knew the life that I wanted, and it was far more than the average person. But again, it all came back to, oh, but I can't do that. Like, who am I to do that? I'm the not good enough. I'm the nice guy. Right? I'm not confident. I'm not secure. So how could I actually make that happen? Right? But at the bottom of all of this, because these are all just symptoms, is this identity incongruence, is a forgetting of who God put us here to be. And that is the work. We need to change the story. We need to work through the blocks and the blocks that exist within our inner world and within our mind that is then creating our reality. Because our external reality is nothing more than a mirror and a projection of what's going on in here. So if I believe I'm not good enough, I am literally going to have my brain filter out all of the reasons that I am good enough, and I'm only going to focus on the negative. That's how this works, right? Our brain is a giant filtering system, and it will show us, and we will hear and see and taste and touch and all these different things that align with this core belief. So you will just continue to attract relationships that make you sit in that people-pleasing nice guy. Right? You'll continue to attract in people that don't know how to hold and don't know how to help you through that. You'll continue to not see your progress in your body. Right? It is just simply a reflection and projection. So we don't need to change the movie screen, so to speak. We need to change the projector. And we do this through the deep identity work to shift the story, but then we don't just stop there, because that's what the current society wants men to do, is just talk about it and just be vulnerable, and that's it. That fixes everything. Not true. We change the core programming, but then we actually need to go out and become a relentless savage at disproving all these old beliefs. Go and get into epic shape, right? Go and put yourself out there. Start the business. Be consistent. Show up. Like, really connect to God and connect to your faith every single day. Dream bigger. Like, create that vision and break it down backwards. Who do I need to be? What is the next step? Go out and provide evidence. So then it literally forces your brain to change its filtering system. So now, I do believe this is me speaking now, I do believe I'm good enough. I do believe I'm worthy. I do believe God has me here for a purpose. I do believe I'm going to be the best father, husband, role model in the world. I do believe I'm an incredible mentor. I'm going to change many lives. And because I believe that deep down, that's how I speak, that's how I think, that's how I act. And now reality is starting to shift. That is what I now see in my world. I don't go back to that old not good enough story anymore, because I actually have the evidence to prove that this is me. And so now I just continue to move forward. I wait for my reality to catch up. I wait to God to bestow these blessings upon me. Right? So this nice guy, you're not broken. It's not a character flaw. I said this in the last video. It's just simply you've just forgotten who you are, and you've created a mask based around something that has happened to you that has just now become your default. But it can change, and it's very easy to change once you know what's actually driving it. Right? And this is exactly the work that I do in the Proving Ground, which is my group mentorship, or if you really want to send it, working with me in a one-on-one capacity. Right? We understand where your nice guy is rooted, where it's come from. We shift the story around that. Right? We then expand out and continue to work through the inner work, the identity work, change the mindset of what's going on in here, right? Which isn't just affirmations. It isn't just to be more motivated. There's actual genuine frameworks and processes that I take people through. And then as we're doing that, we become the savage at disproving these old stories through building evidence. Get on a program, get into shape. Again, really connect to your purpose. What are you actually here to build in life? What is your legacy that you're going to lead? How can you step up into that provider for your family, where you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, and have the lifestyle that you want? Right? How can you connect to your faith more and be a loyal servant to God and His kingdom and be an asset to Him? Start providing yourself evidence. Start proving to yourself that you are this man. And then that is when the most perfect, beautiful partner will come in, because now you will magnetize that woman that is looking for that version of you. She doesn't want the mask, right? She wants to know the real you, all of your flaws, all of your insecurities, all of your struggles, right? And she will often come in, once you've made this shift, she will come in as you are building. And you will know that she is the right woman because she will support your mission. You will be able to voice things to her, because at the end of the day, and this is what I'm finding in real time right now, I've attracted someone in that, I'm still in a building phase. And I ask specific questions to her and share things with her, and she supports, and she's like, what can I do to help? Right? And this is how you build and grow together. So there is an element where the other person is going to help, but you need to start steering and rowing the boat first. Right? Once you do this, brother, I promise you life gets to be very, very good. The nice guy will just have no need to be around anymore, because you will be so confident and convicted in who you are. And so to wrap this up, if you feel like this is where you're at, you're wanting to make this shift, maybe you're in a relationship now and you're just wanting to be a better man for her because you genuinely think that she's your person. Maybe you've just had a recent breakup. I've spoken to a lot of men recently who have come out of breakups, and again, you are in the perfect spot to now really dive into this work and become this man, as I said, that can attract in your person, right? But you need to build the foundation first. So if you want to get into this work, have a look down below. There'll be 2 links. There'll be one to the Proving Ground, which is my group mentorship, or for the very, very committed, I have very few one-on-one spots, but there is an application to work with me in a one-on-one capacity, right? Either way, we will have a conversation. Send me a message on Instagram down there as well. And yeah, let's turn you from the nice guy to this strong, confident, convicted, secure man that God put here to be an asset for your family and for your future. All right, brother, I appreciate you tuning in. As I said, go back and watch the previous video if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one.